And we're gonna would all stand and bow your heads, please.
Father, and we thank you for this privilege, Lord, this opportunity that we now have, that we may present ourselves in a way that it will be constructive to our community, our society as a whole. We ask your divine guidance on this meeting, Lord, that it may be the example of many, many meetings ahead. We ask you to direct us in whatever we undertake to do for our community and this society. We ask you, Lord, and we thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Now, today, for those of you who are not members, you have taken an enormous step by being here today. A step that could change the very way that we live our lives. This is a step that could wipe out over 430 years of oppression. This is a step that could rid our communities of poverty. It could get our youth off the streets selling drugs. I want to tell you something about a power today that each of us have. And I'm sure a lot of you know what that power is. It's called economic power. Through our economic power, all things are possible. Because through that, we can purchase our own grocery stores, or we can provide a better life for our families. We can utilize that money to create our own financial institutions and to make ourselves grow and beautify our neighborhood. Now, one of the problems is that we have a monopoly on that power. You see, we were the only ethnic group to be enslaved and brought to America against our free will. And ever since then, African Americans have been on the bottom of the list when it comes to the national average of income based on ethnic origin. Now, I don't know about you, I'm tired of going to the banks and not getting the loans. I'm tired of having to work for someone else all my life and live from paycheck to paycheck, and I want a way out and I can't get it. I'm tired of begging for crumbs when it is us that is the main ingredients in the pie. You see, we're the yeast in the bread. See, if we take away that yeast, that bread won't rise. So today, I want you all to think about something. I want you to think about economic power. To think about some of the movements that you yourself may have been a part of in the past. And ask yourself this question: what do you think the color of freedom is? Now, I'm going to associate this with other animals because we, as a human race, we are animals. We're just able, we have intelligence. We're able to think. And I think sometimes that's what gets us in trouble. See, we have a bird. A bird flies and soars through the sky, the blue sky, and that's where it's free to do anything that it wants. So I guess you could say the color of freedom for a bird is maybe blue. For the lion that lives in Africa, if you notice, a lion's coat is sandy brown, and the grass from the sun, the desert sun being so hot, the grass is sandy brown also. So it allows it to hide so it can feed. It allows it to capture prey. It allows it to hide its children or its cubs so that it may be able to protect them so they can grow. So I guess you could say the color of freedom for the lion would maybe be sandy brown, because that allows it to stay free and to hide itself from other predators. So I ask you, what do you think the color of freedom is, Pastor Campbell?
Yeah, the color of freedom. I guess I wouldn't base it on color. It's not hard for me to see it as far as, if someone was to ask me what is the source of freedom, I would say education.
Okay. All right. Pastor Taylor.
There's no color per se. Someone loves blind. It's there for you. It depends upon the individual. You put color on it, or you can, leave it a clear color. But it's free.
Zach, what do you think the color of freedom is?
I agree with the guy. Based on all the chance,
here, some would say green, based on money, because it enables you to do what you want to. But like internally, it's basically blind. Because freedom could be in your mind. It's free to do what you want to, say what you want to, go where you want to.
Mr. Dark, what would you say the color of freedom is?
Well, I would think it would be a combination of both cultural awareness in order to raise the consciousness, in order to know how to handle your money. Money is definitely essential. However, without the proper awareness of how to manipulate or facilitate the use of money, I think that would be considered as detrimental, which we can all witness and think of many examples. Professional athletes, particularly, since they're probably more noticeable, but also individuals within the community that quote, living a certain lifestyle, and that those individuals don't operate or behave in a communal manner. They look at the I, me, and mine versus the we and I.
You want to give this seminar?
No, sir.
This is Price Darby. He's the chairman for ACE, which is based out of Grand Prairie.
Yes, the African American Council for Empowerment Incorporated. And I would like to say that I'm very privileged to be here, and I feel the connectedness when I walked in the room with all my brothers and sisters, and that ACE is proud to announce that we received yesterday our 501c3 status in the mail. So our divine creator has once again given us another sign that the mission that we have undertaken is moving in the right direction.
So each of us have different views of what we think the color of freedom is. And none of them are wrong. Each of you came out a very valid point. But I'd like to let you know about a mainstream color of freedom, which is green. That dollar bill. Well, this is a $10 bill. I'm sorry, I didn't have anything small. As a matter of fact, this is all I have. So I'd like to tell you that the color of freedom is green. It's our economic power. You have money, you have power. See, if you look, you heard me earlier when I explained about the lion's environment, that his color of his skin is brown and the weeds around is brown. So that's his environment. He mixes in that environment. It allows him to hunt and hide his cubs and things of that nature. It allows him to survive. Well, also, in our environment, the more or less intelligent animals, human race, our environment is surrounded by monstrous structures, like skyscrapers, buildings, businesses, houses, streets, stores. So the color our surroundings, our environment is centered around money. Because if you have money, you can get a nice environment. You have a nicer house. See, if you have money, you have a nicer church. Okay? So basically, I'd like to say to you that the color of freedom would be green. Do you know that the African Americans has over $321 billion worth of buying power right now? You know, that's equal and more to Canada. We could create our own nation if we would put all our money together. We spend approximately $7 billion a year on hotels and conventions. We have purchased approximately $6 billion worth of coal cuts. We purchase 18% more gum than whites. We purchase 12% more alcohol beverages than whites. The average income of the African American family is about $20,000. So with $321 billion worth of buying power, see, we make the money. But when we go and purchase goods from the grocery store, we have no black manufacturers that I know of. If there are very few. So the problem is not a white problem, but a green problem. Because we make the money, but we do not control the goods and services that we purchase as a whole. Now, the Federal Reserve Board recognizes that in order for a community to prosper, that community should recycle its dollar anywhere from 5 to 8 times. The African American community recycles its dollar less than once. As a matter of fact, a dollar lasts in the black community less than 4 hours. Now, I don't know about you, there is a real problem there. See, we make the money, but we need to control the goods and services that we purchase as a whole. Dallas. Now, this is a shot from South Dallas. Dallas City is located about 5 minutes away from South Dallas. Not even really 5 minutes, about 30 seconds for me. If all the lights turn right when I'm going down Irving, I get there pretty quick. But see, if you notice something, in our community, South Dallas is a very strategic spot. See, we have 3 different main highways that run through here. We have 45, we have access to 30, we have access to 35, 175, and it's all centered around South Dallas. Now, but if you look into our communities, the streets of Martin Luther King, you see slums, you see trash, abandoned buildings. Up under the I-45 bridge, you see homeless. And 85% of those homeless people up under there are black. And they're trying to push more of us out there. Our houses in our community, you've seen this. You've seen it on your way home, you've seen it on your way to work. They're tearing down our structure. They're busting the so-called crack houses and leaving them there as rubble. See, I feel like if you're going to tear down a structure, you need to replace it with something. But see, they don't want it. They want our community in South Dallas to be abandoned. And I'll tell you why as we get towards the end. If you look at our apartment complexes, I used to live there a long time ago. This was a nice area. It was a place that you could feel somewhat proud about walking down the street. But see, that no longer exists. They pumped drugs into our neighborhood to give our youth a way out, and they in turn destroyed their own brothers and sisters and their own property, their own surroundings. And I'm going to tell you the plan. What I think the plan is for them to pump so many drugs into our neighborhood and for so many of our apartment complexes to be abandoned through poverty that there will be nothing else left in South Dallas, and they can come and buy these properties pennies on the dollar and build condominiums and have access to downtown Dallas for about 5 minutes. Right now, Dallas is slowly but surely building itself without our inclusion. This is the Cotton Bowl. Now, I was very much involved in the disparity study and the contract issue with Dowmac, and they did not want to include any African Americans. They had what they call a good faith effort. What do you call a good faith effort? It's not a law, but basically it's saying that we will try to locate a minority business firm who can meet all the qualifications, all right, and be able to provide a service for us. But see, in order for us to look at today and some of the problems that surround us, we must first look at the past. You see, we were the only ethnic group who were brought over here against our own free will. You see, you have what you call the house niggas that live in the plantation, and then you had the field niggas. Okay? Now, we were brought over here by the thousands. And with that in mind, if you could build a business and you could bring in some employees, you don't have to pay them anything, then won't your business prosper because you don't have any overhead? You see, through slavery, we were taught to think a certain way. See, rather than building fences for us, Constantino Wire hiring security guards to keep us on the plantation, they decided that it would be more profitable to rape our minds, to teach us to think that there wasn't nothing out there for us. See? And they succeeded in doing that. As a matter of fact, that is what's holding us back today. That's why I said we have to go back in order for us to understand how we are today. See, problem. Okay, well, we were known as black gold, but that's blow Capital. Okay, we were known as black gold. You see, not only were we enslaved and made to work in the cotton fields and molasses and things of that nature, we were also, our bodies, our flesh was also sold for a profit. See, the more slaves you have, the more your status in society, the richer, the more wealthier you will appear to be, the more slaves that you own. Now, we had too many leaders of our past for us to be like this. See, even though we were taught to think a certain way, there were brothers who came along who said, no, I want to think different. Frederick Douglass is the founder. He was one of our first, or if not the first, prominent leader in our nation. And he developed what was called the Gospel of Wealth. He opened the first African-American bank, which was the Freedmen's Bank. That bank consisted of funds contributed by African-American soldiers who were serving in the war during that time. Well, the bank failed. He even put $10,000 of his own money into that bank. The bank failed. Because although he started the bank, it still fell up under the jurisdiction of the white man. And they robbed, they gave out loans to themselves, and they utilized our money for their own benefit. Booker T. Washington. Now, he gave an address in 1915, and in that address, he said that we as a people must get some land. We must get some soil. We must build our foundation. Because if we do not build our foundation now, when those people get through with each other in Europe and Asia and Japan, they're going to come over here by the thousands, even by the millions. And we must already have our foundation laid. See, isn't that true today? Now, Frederick Douglass also stated that for a race of people to truly be free, they must first have economic freedom. That still holds true over 100 years later. What happened? Where did we drop the ball? Now, if you go further, you can see where, when we did get our freedom, when our freedom was won, we were oppressed by way of Jim Crow laws. So you have a white water fountain and you have a colored water fountain. See, we had other rules. You could not eat at certain establishments if you were not of the same color that they were. Now, Jim Crow laws, we had many leaders that come along to teach us about our economic power, because we were better off then than we are now, because we were forced to shop with one another, to share our resources. We couldn't go in the white man's store, so we had to go to Pastor Cato's store. See, so we spent money there. But then came, I'm going to get this button right in a minute. Y'all bear with me. Now, through the 60s, the late 60s, we had leaders such as Martin Luther King to teach us about our economic power. If you would look at the Selma, Alabama deal where Rosa Parks refused to sit at the back of the bus, and that in itself really started the civil rights movement, we learned that they did not want us on the bus anyhow. But see, it was public transportation, and I guess our money was okay, but they wanted us to sit in the back. So Rosa Parks said, no, I'm not going to do that, which led other people to say, we're not going to do it also. We can't sit up at the front. Our money is just as valuable as your money. So we boycotted. I'm sure a lot of y'all can tell me about that in here. And through boycotting, that bus line lost so much money. that they had to adhere to the African American community and allow them to ride anywhere they wanted to on that bus. See, the Greenwood Business District. We purchased from one another. They call it the Black Wall Street, so to speak. We had our own black stores, our own black merchants and cleaners and things of that nature. So we share. Like I said, they call it the Black Wall Street. That the community thrived. But our other communities, our other ethnic group wanted to look at that and see how can we get those Negroes out of there. See, they get a little too powerful. They're starting to spread. So I'm sure that you're all familiar with the fire bombs from the sky where they destroyed every business. They tried to burn down every structure because they knew that we had realized our economic power. As a result, the Greenwood Business District was burned down. There are a lot of other events that took place there that contributed to the destruction of the Greenwood Business District. But we rebuilt. It was a hard fight. We rebuilt. They passed laws and codes that will allow us to have to go another route. They would not allow us any funding from the government, no funding from outside. So we had to build it ourselves, and we did. But the second time, we lost out to something greater, something worse than the first, to ourselves. Because after rebuilding that community, we began to sell our businesses to the white buyers. And we allowed them to come into our communities and capitalize on our dollars. At the same time, during that time, through the civil rights movement, we came along with integration. See, and that was another very, 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 very important problem that relates to how we are today. See, because through integration, we thought that, well, if it ain't white, it ain't right. See, I can shop at Neiman Marcus now. I don't have to go down here to Joe Blow store down here. I can shop there. See, I'm free now. See, I'm a free boy now. I can go in any store I want to. I can take my clothes down here to this corner. See, I was free. See, I was free to eat in this restaurant here, and I can buy me a steak. I can eat at Denny's now. Well, 1993, you still kind of came, but ain't that a shame. But through integration, we became a part of the system. See, which was another way of controlling us. See, we stopped buying from the black because now that we're free, we can go over here. Then we neglected our own. And our businesses suffered because of that. I like to call it what I call my chain of command. Chains of command, so to speak. After the Reconstruction period, after slavery, we went through a process to where basically, as it stands today, we're no different than them. The only thing now, they have to pay us for our work. See, they still control us. But now they just have to pay us. And they pay us what they want to pay us, okay? And if we are qualified to be paid more, then they don't pay us at all. They just fire us. Say we overqualified. Have you heard that term quite a bit?
Yeah.
Now, through that, I like to say that in the past, during slavery, you had the plantation and the plantation master. Well, now you have what is called a big-time corporation and the CEO and the president of that corporation. It's no different, see, because the plantation master is white and the CEOs and presidents of our companies are white. All right, then you have the slave keepers, the man with the whip, make sure the slaves keep going. Well, now you have regional directors of this company and you have supervisors of this company and that company. That's to make sure the workforce react properly. That's to make sure that we do our jobs. Now, granted, we've had some of our African American people who work diligently and hard and got in some of those regional director spots or some of those vice president spots. But they're few and far between. And they don't have really much authority. Until we get black business owners, we're never going to overcome this fight that we're involved in now. Now, if we were to channel all of our power, channel our efforts in the right direction, and follow some of the concepts of Martin Luther King and the Selma bus boycott, we're having quite a few problems with the Dart right now as far as they handling the contracts. They're building the HOV lane, they're building the railway, they're purchasing up our houses and things of that nature. What if we boycotted Dart? You tell me how fast Dallas will shut down. Because we make up about over 70% of the people who ride the Dart bus. So if we were to boycott Dart, then we will be able to reach our economic status in the society. Oh, I'm sorry. That's my backyard again. I'm going to clean that up now. Now, in our communities, as you can see, we have liquor stores popping up everywhere. You have the sale of slick smoked liquor, 40-ounce beer cup by the name of Crazy Horse, 8-ball sipping, the women are tripping, and all that stuff they're saying. Now, with that in mind, you see these Asians and these other Arabs, they're coming into our communities, they're purchasing up our stores, they're buying our businesses. And we sit back and we want to shut them down, burn them down, or tear them down. But we can't blame them for being smart. What we need to do is develop programs to do the same as them. See, they recycle their dollar. They pool their resources together and send for others to come back over here and put them in business. And then, too, we also know that after we bombed Japan and things of that nature, that as our way of paying them back for all the destruction that we caused them, we do give them first option to get grants and things of that nature. Oh, there's the backyard again. This is Martin Luther King, lined up with liquor stores. Now, I'm sure if Martin Luther King was alive, he'd come see what the street looked like that was named after him. he wouldn't have a dream, he might have a nightmare. See, because that's exactly what it is. It's a living nightmare that we're going through in our communities. Motels. They're a plague in our community. See, you go over to Walnut Hill Street and try to buy something from their liquor store, you won't find those type of beverages that I just mentioned before. The strong, Crazy Horse type malt liquors and things of that nature. But if you ride down our community, you see cigarette boards, billboards. Big boards with bull, small liquor bull on it. See, this is what our community, the drugs, the prostitution, it is all in our community. Forest Theater, which was once one of our great African American entities here. I remember going to the movies to see Bruce Lee do some karate and things of that nature. But see, now that is taken over by Hispanics. The club next door to my office is now Hispanic. See, they're outgrowing the East Grand area, and they slowly but surely moving in south here. See, the Asians are moving south. Everybody's moving in on our territory. Is that their fault, or is it our fault? If you go and look at the Hispanic community over on Jefferson, well, you see them recycling their dollars. You see Hispanics going to shop with one another, okay? I'm sure Ms. Keys knows about that because your office is located right over there, doing that area. You see, you can't even drive through there. You can't even find a parking place sometimes. See, they don't have liquor stores on their streets, see? They don't have motels on their streets right there. See, they don't have any problems with drugs right over in that particular area. They support one another's entities. Now, we also got a problem with police and how they've declared war on blacks. Oh, God, I just really messed that up, didn't I? But it is a war. I mean, I don't know if you are familiar with the Corsicana deal, but it's wrong what they're doing down there. What they did in the Rodney King trial. Giving those guys 2 years, 30 months for attempted murder. If you and I go somewhere and me and Pastor Campbell, I know y'all ain't gonna like me, but Pastor Campbell, me, and Pastor Cato, we go and rob a store together. Cindy, he driving. Me and Pastor Cato, we walk in there and we we robbed the place and shoot the man and kill him. And Simeon was just driving. Pastor Cameron didn't know nothing about it. He was around the corner. We all get back in that car. We all committed murder. We all, where you were accessory to murder, we all robbed that store. So therefore, we all have to pay the price. And believe me, it's much more than 2.5 years. So I'm just saying these things to let you know what is going on around our community. If you look at Langston Keys Shopping Center, it's slowly but surely closing down. That Keys Bridge, you know, when you come down Keys and you're at Langston and you go across that bridge that takes you over to the, going towards Oliver Winter Home, how long have they been repairing that bridge? How long? They don't want to repair it. They're not going to repair it. What are you saying, Greg?
No, that's a good point.
Yeah, right. How long have those barricades been sitting to the right? They don't want to repair it. They're not going to. The Mignards there has moved out. A lot of the stores that were there have moved out. They're not going. There's no effort being done to put anything back into those different facilities. And the reason is because they're building a rail system through there. See, the owner there, he don't care about the African American community, about them having access to a shopping center and things of that nature. But then too, why should he care? Because we don't care. Keys Bazaar. That is a well-loved hangout of the African American youth. See, we go there and we purchase these cheap clothes. Now, I was stationed over in Korea for about 4 or 5 months, and I tell you, well, I had a field day. I was getting Fila warm-up suits for $5. Fila tennis shoes for $6. I had at that time I was smoking. I traded a pack of cigarettes for about 4 or 5 suits. Reebok, Gucci. Well, I thought I was nice. First time I did it, watched them one time, never could wear them again. The tape recorder that I bought, self-destructed on the airplane back to America. I guess the altitude was too high. See, they come over here and they duplicate all these products and they capitalize. And see, we send money into there, but if you go in there, you see very few African Americans. They policies, no refund policies. They treat you like you don't count. I was in one store the other day. This guy sitting up here, he was talking to this young African American queen. He was talking to her in such a way that I had to say something. My wife told me not to get involved. I said, no, I'm not going to sit up here and let this man disrespect this lady. He did something wrong to her necklace. I don't know the whole deal, but he told her, I don't need this problem. I can't do nothing for you. You just get away out and get out my face. I said, no. I said, you're not going to talk to her like that. You're going to address her needs as a business person, on a business level. Now, she has a problem. You need to go get on that guy that messed up her necklace. He's going to ask, who am I? Well, that was an opportunity for me to pull out the NAACP card, and I gave it to him. I was like, now you're going to know who I am. And he balled up the card and put it in the trash. So that lets you know how they feel about us. They don't care. Now, we go into our community. We have banks. That's Bank One. They redline our areas. They don't want to give loans. Then you go right down the street. You have Nations Bank. Build up bulletproof windows. Well, they just know these black folks gonna really rob us. We over here in this community now. I don't know how many black bank robbers I've ever seen. Bonnie and Clyde was white.